Hi, good morning everyone. We are the Group G. I am Kenneth Carcedo and my group mates Josel Cancino and Stephanie Katangal. Our reporting is all about checks. So what is a check? A check is a bill of exchange drawn on a bank payable on demand, except as herein otherwise provided. The provisions of this act applicable to a bill of exchange payable on demand apply to a check. So a check is usually a negotiable instrument that must be presented for payment with a reasonable time after its issuance, though checks are not legal tender. So, ginagamit ang check, substitute for money. So, kung wala kang medium na ipambabayad, pwede mong ipadala yung payment mo sa mismong check. So, may instances na hindi pa rin ako bayad kahit na nag-issue na ako ng check. So, for an example, magbabayad ako kay Miss Cancino ng 10,000 pesos sa check. So, yun yung source of payment ko. Pero, hindi niya tinanggap yung check kasi nagdadalawang isip siya kung may laman ba yung check na binigay ko sa kanya o baka nag-i-scam lang ako. So, magiging habayad lang ako kung tatanggapin niya yung check na inisyo ko. So, the next one is distinguished from draft. The drafts are more reliable form of receiving payment than personal checks that may bounce. As mentioned, a draft is as good as cash. The bank writes the account holder's draft and reliably takes out money from the account. Checks are created by the account holder on funds inside the account of held in acquisition. So, based dito, mas secured yung paraan ng pagtanggap ng bayad is yung sa draft. Rather than personal checks na possible na mag-cause ng bounce check or maaaring pagtalbog ng check. So, ito yung walang sufficient fund na mailabas yung gumawa ng check. So, wala siyang totally na nabayad, as in zero. So, medyo delikado to. So, ingat-ingat na lang po tayo. While yung mga checks naman is create ng account holder for funds inside the account. So, meaning may pondo na doon sa mismong check. So, siya na lang yung bahala na So, as you can see sa table sa ibaba, we have difference between check and draft. So, we have 3. So, let's start on the check. So, number 1, DOE is always a bank. Number 2, check is drawn on assumption money in bank to cover check. Then, we have number 3, check is payable on demand. While sa draft is number 1, DOE is not necessarily a bank. Number 2, no assumption DOE has any of drawer's money to pay instrument. Then number 3, draft may be payable on demand or at future date.
Next reporter, please.
I'm Stephanie Katangal. So we're gonna talk about the different type of check. First, there's what it's called cashier's check. This check is a secure way to make large payment drawn by the cashier of a bank in the name of the bank against the bank itself, payable to a third person. So, when you request a cashier check from your bank, money is moved out to your account and into the bank's account. And then a bank representative, usually a teller, sign it over to a named third person. The check will include the name of the both recipient and the remitter. Then, a customer who purchased a cashier check pays the full face value of the check and generally also pays a small premium for the service. Now, the another kind of check is the manager's check. It's drawn by the manager of a bank in the name of the bank, payable to a third person. It's a similar to a cashier check as to the effect and its use, but by issuing it, the bank assumed that liabilities of an acceptor under the Section 62 of the Negotiable Instrument Law. And we also have the certified check, an agreement whereby the drawee bank, meaning the bank against whom a check is drawn, undertakes to pay it any time or any future time when it is presented for payment. So, how do you know if it's certified? There's a word certified stamp on the check, and the purpose is to enable the holder to use it as a money. It enables persons who are not well acquainted with each another to quickly close the business transaction. So, why? Because the holder of the certified check knows that he can compel the drawee bank to encash it, so it's avoid the delay receiving, counting, and passing large sums of money from hand to hand. And the effect is, under Section 187, certification is equivalent to acceptance. It is the operative act that makes bank liable. That's the one effect. And the other effect is under Section 186, where the holder of a check procure set to be accepted or certified that the drawer and all endorser are discharged for liability. Next effect is under Section 187 is that certification operates as an assignment of funds of the drawer in the hands of the drawee to the holder. It's an assignment or a transfer. And next check is cross-check. Cross-check is a one which bears across its face two parallel lines drawn diagonally, usually on the upper left side. So there are two lines on the upper left side on the check. And crossing can be done either specially or generally. When a check is a cross especially, the name of a particular bank or company is written or appears between the parallel lines, in which case the drawee bank must pay the check only upon presentment by such bank or company. And when it is crossed generally, only the words and company are written between the parallel lines. In such case, the check crossed generally, the drawee bank must pay the check through the intervention of the SAM bank. And cross check cannot be in cash but may only be deposited by the bank. It may be negotiated only once to a person with an account with the bank.
Next reporter, please.
A memorandum check is an evidence of that against the drawer, and although they may not be intended to be presented, has the same effect as an ordinary check, and if passed on a third person, will be valid in his hand like any other check. A traveler's check is once popular but now largely outmoded medium of exchange, utilized as an alternative hard currency intended to aid tourists. Memorandum and check. When it comes to memorandum check, it is a simply check given by a borrower to a lender for the amount of a short loan with the understanding that it is not to be presented at the bank but it will redeem by the maker itself when the loan falls due to this understanding. While a traveler's check, it is simply one which the holder's signature must appear twice First, the signature must be effect at the time of the issuance of the traveler's check. And second, there must be a counter-signature affix in the presence of the pay before it is paid. Otherwise, if there is no counter-signature, it is incomplete. The purpose of traveler's check is to provide the traveler with a safe, convenient method by which to supply himself with funds. No pay in almost all parts of the world can the traveler stay back, came without the hazard of carrying money.
Next is when required to be represented for payment. A check must be presented for payment within a reasonable time after its issue, or the drawer will be discharged from liability thereon to the extent of the loss caused by delay.
Effect of death of drawer. The authority of the bank to pay a check is terminated by notice of the customer's death. A check is valid only for a period of 3 months from the date of issue, and after that it is valid though deposited in bank. Liability of person after his death extends only to the extent of the property standing in his name. Pertinent Philippine Clearinghouse Corporation Rules. So, based on Section 12 ng amended Check Image Clearing System Rules, bali lahat ng miyembro or kalahok ng bank is kailangan na panatilihin ang mga original check na binayaran or na pag-usapan. Presenting bank, gayon pa man ay maaaring mag-oath na i-outsource ang pag-iingat ng mga binayaran na original check sa isang storage service or kumpanyang pinili nito.
Thank you for listening.